Hi guys, welcome to my weekend roundup, where I have a look at what's been going on in gaming over the past couple of weeks. If you're new to us, this is purely amateur, guys. Don't expect anything professional. This is mostly so I can sort of like look at what's been going on in gaming and talk about it to the internet in general. If you guys watch it and enjoy it, great. If not, at least it keeps me gaming. First thing I'm looking at this week is we're seeing Apocalypse come out. 8th edition Apocalypse. We were wondering how that was going to work, and it's come off a pre-order this week. They've been teasing it all week. You've got some fantastic D8 dice and cards there. A lot of cards. A lot of extra equipment and that, but it's all going to be set up for your particular force. As always, these things are probably going to be hard to get hold of, so I'd rush out and grab yours as soon as you can. Who knows how effective the backorder system is going to be. I would imagine a lot of the rules will be in the Apocalypse book, so I don't know how many of the cards they're going to print out. The original Apocalypse, well, last edition's Apocalypse for 7th ed, you could get the book for quite a long time. It was readily available, but the cards that made the book work were frankly only available with the initial release. When we look at the data cards that come out with the the codexes, we see the same thing. They're available for the initial release, but after that, GW don't tend to do them that much. There's a load of cool stuff. They've released a bunch of Apocalypse detachments, as we can see. I'm personally looking forward to the Space Marine one because I am a Primaris player, and this release is the I think it's the first purely Primaris release, sort of purely Primaris sort of bundle pack thing we've seen. Obviously, GW do a lot of buy it now packs, but those are primarily aimed, I think, at the American market, I've been told, simply because some of the American internet providers charge you via click. So rather than assemble a collection, you press one click and you save money that way, apparently. How true that is or not, I don't know. If there's any Americans watching this, please feel free to let us know if that's actually true or just something that someone's made up. We've seen Shadow Spear and Dark Imperium and all the little box sets that came off of that, obviously, but again, those weren't pure Primaris. You had to find someone to split them up, so this might be the first of the Primaris sets. We're also seeing, for the first time in GW history, let's let that thing, these bunnies. Now, what these are is they're 5-man movement trays. You slot your 32mm bases in them. They appear to be transparent, and they allow you to more quickly move bunches of Marines around the table. It could be good, it could be rubbish. Really, we'll have to wait and see how well they work. I've already seen a lot of people thinking they're going to drill holes in the bases and put magnets in there so the Marines don't fall over. Obviously, if you're moving something around like that across a board and one of the guys falls over, that means you've got to stop, pick the guy up, put the guy back in, continue. Oh, fall over again, pick it up, put it back in. So it could be nice and smooth. They could move easily. They could be a bit troublesome. We've already got guys poking around the internet suggesting various fixes to that, including magnetizing your bases and then magnetizing those, which they're clear plastic, should be a fairly simple drill and fill. They've done an extra large Crusade case. Now, the Crusade case was always big. What did I say? They've done extra large. They've done Crusade case XL. Now, that looks to me to be just the standard Crusade case, but it could be bigger. But basically, already up for pre-order is the Crusade case. The Crusade case is enough to take an entire battle force in most cases. It'll have the same advantages and disadvantages as all the other GW cases. For those of you not familiar, GW now employ a zigzag foam technology. I'm just going to enlarge that picture so you can see that. They employ a zigzag foam technology, which is good for holding larger models, not so good for holding smaller models if you don't have a lot of them. Because what happened, these do flap about loosely inside, and if they're not full, you can find that they allow smaller models to slip around. If they're full, then the models press against each other on either side of the foam and hold in place. But if not, don't worry about it. It's just, there's the old solution for packing models of tissue paper. And ironically, if you just grab wads of paper or tissue paper or anything that will fill up the space on the other side, you can make them quite snug so they hold your models quite well. Important with these, don't overfill them, because if your models are touching, they will rub, and if they do rub, you will end up losing paint, which is the whole point of having a paint case. So that's another pretty cool thing. Obviously, we're also looking at the reinforcements here. We've got, they're reminding us that the Bane blade exists, and all the other bits and pieces. The newer Primaris tank, which is about £10 more than the original tank, although it's primarily the same sprues, which does leave you the option of buying the repulsor troop transport and just kit bashing it. Worth noting that because this is a new build, its stats won't be available in a lot of the pre-existing codexes, but they are available in the box that you buy it in, obviously. And I hope that when it goes online, they'll be available online. When they brought out new stuff previously like this for expansions, they have made sure that the stats are available online, and they've made sure that you know which armies can go with it. There have been a few complaints that the new Primaris tank doesn't have specifics saying you go with Space Wars, Blood Angels and that, but the FAQs clearly show that, where it says insert chapter here or insert thingamajig here, you can put Blood Angels in that. It was just a weird technicality that for some reason people were complaining about. What else have we got? Oh, yep. In line with Apocalypse, coming soon, Heresy Incarnate, Chaos Knights. Obviously, the Chaos Knights are already out, but the Codex is coming soon, which will allow you to run an army specifically of Chaos Knights. So if what you want to do is run a meta army of just 5 amazing models, you can. A lot of people look at the Knight armies and kind of get a bit upset because they're difficult to deal with. That being said, it's the same as any extreme army. The moment you know you're going against it, you have to adapt for it. In 7th Ed and 6th Ed, Imperial Guard were the problem because they combined the size of a Horde army with only having 10-man units, meaning that there could be no overflow of wounds from one unit to the next. Sorry, fly on, I think. Meaning that, Space Marine troops were wiping out units and then losing, wasting half their shots, which doesn't sound terrible until you realise the more elite armies couldn't shoot that many units. So you'd wipe out the first rank of units, everything else would fire at you. You'd have to hope you could withstand it because they were firing a lot of firepower, reasonably put back at you, and then you'd wipe out the second rank, and then they'd do the same, meaning that the backstop of only having 10-man units made it very tricky. In tournaments, that was a big thing. Outside of tournaments, it really wasn't a problem because you could deal with it simply by using area effect templates and the like, which were available in 7th Ed. But you could adapt your force to deal with it fairly readily. It was only when in tournaments where you had 1, maybe 2 lists that you struggled to deal with these weird outlier armies. But again, if you're tournament playing, you've got to accept the tournaments can be vicious. If you're playing friendlies or in the friendlier tournaments, which aren't people desperately trying to win, then it really isn't a problem because you can usually deal with pretty much anything, provided you take a robust list and your opponent's not playing full tournament mode. Not that there's anything wrong with playing full tournament mode. There's totally a place for it. It's just a case of it has its specific pitfalls and it has its specific excitement. Now we've got some beautiful pictures of the Chaos Knights. They're looking every inch like Titans, which is what you expect them to do. Obviously, you're going to get the Chaos Knight data cards. Again, as I previously said, if you want those data cards, go out, get them as soon as you can. because like most cards, GW will probably be doing them in a limited run. For those of you, again, not fancy over terminology, if you're not familiar with the term limited run or limited production, GW don't do limited edition anymore. They used to limited edition, but they had such high demand for some of the limited edition products that they brought them back because companies make money, and people got very upset because they believed that they'd bought limited edition, still kept in the plastic games, and that those games were going to do nothing but make money. And then when GW brought them back out again, people were like, "Oh no, I bought this under the understanding that that would never happen," which you wouldn't think would be a problem, but it is for it. It did upset the collectors. There are people out there who had 3rd edition Space Hulk, one copy to keep, one copy just to sit on the shelf that they could one day sell as an investment. And it annoyed them quite a lot when limited edition product got re-released. GW at the time said, "Well, limited edition doesn't mean we're not going to re-release it. It just means we're only going to make it just means we're not going to make a lot of them." But after that they changed their terminology to limited production or limited run, to indicate to people that they reserve the right to bring out stuff again if it proves popular enough and if there's money in it. They still do limited edition models that are actually limited edition. You get those from their stores, their store anniversaries and birthdays. You'll get models that are only available on that day, and there's only so many of them, and then next year it'll be a different model, and that's cool as well. But with a lot of the stuff they do limited run. With the dice and the cards that are specialized, because they make very little profit, and it's not. And if they get stuck with just a few hundred or a few thousand, it can cut right into that profit. They make less than they know they're going to sell, so they can guarantee clearing out of them. And it sounds bad, but it means they can guarantee themselves making a profit. It means they're not risking anything by making them, and it means they can make cards for every little weird army and variant of army that they want. Without having to sit there and say, "Well, we can't make the new cards for the goblins because we haven't sold the cards for the orc army or the Gretchens or whatever." So that's totally a thing. For those of you who are having fun with Blackstone Fortress, we've got Traitor Command, which has some new models out, with a Traitor Guardsman and his bodyguard. Some really cool stuff going on there. So that's also fantastic. Anybody who's playing Necromunda, the Cawdor Headsman has come out. Cawdor are the sort of like more brutal, more primitive clan gangers, the ones with less access to technology and stuff like that. But they've got this really hench bounty hunter who basically just goes around killing things. He works for the head of the Cawdor Hiver gang or House Cawdor, and you can hire him into Cawdor specific gangs and just use him to kill people. I'll just show that again. Sorry, that's a great model. I think it really deserves a lot. You've got a fantastic model there that looks really good. It's going to really add to your game. What else have we got 40k wise? 40k wise, on Forge World we've got the White Scars Legion Ebon Keshik Terminators, which are an all-black group of Terminators for the White Scars, hence the term Ebon. Another cool, fantastic-looking set of models. Great if you're playing 30k, still really good if you're playing 40k. They'll fit nicely into a White Scars army or any other conversion army. A lot of these guys would make great conversions for Chaos Warbands in 30k, or if you're planning to run something like a Chaos Warband in 40k / my brain just faded there. Kill Team, there you go. In sort of 40k / Kill Team ones, or if you want to use them in Apocalypse because you want more Terminators that look different, they're going to be great as well. Obviously, you are paying the Forge World price tag at £60 for a unit of 5 Terminators. That's £12 a Terminator. That's £12 a model, and that is not cheap. they've got a lot of detail that look really good. But it's up to you whether or not you can afford to be putting that kind of money around. What else have we got? Moving on to Infinity. Got this month's releases. Where are we? Back. I've somehow missed the releases. Right. Just going to pause the video temporarily while I line these up. July releases. Just going to pause for a second. There you go, managed to get it. Some sort of glitch on the website kept taking me to Shrewsbury Gaming. Which I'm sure a lovely bunch of Infinity gamers, but not what I was looking for. But yeah, we've got Imrahinos with a shotgun, an update to the Imrahinos model, which is looking pretty fantastic. Oh, you genius. What the fuck happened there? Okay guys, my apologies. I'm getting some significant glitching on the website. It keeps bringing stuff back up when I have no interest. Welcome to Shrewsbury's Community Centre. I'm sure you're a wonderful bunch of guys. Just going to pause it again. I'll try and fix this again. Sorry about that, guys. Random repeat problem. Anyway, yeah, you can see we've got a re-release of the Imrahino, which is coming out next month. Obviously, that's pretty cool, focus. And getting a bit of a blur picture there, apologies. As an Ariadne player, I like the Imrahinos. I like the way they can scavenge and nick other people's stuff. That's pretty cool, and the way they have the booty things, so you don't know what they're getting. They can get really good stuff or really iffy stuff. You've got the Speculo Killer with a boarding shotgun. We can see there, which is a pretty cool model. Something else which is coming out next month. One of the cooler models, which which is fairly nifty, is these guys. You've got a motorcycle and a rider. But in order to solve the problem of getting outgunned, as motorcycle riders do, the rider can dismount and the cycle transforms into basically either a big robot or a mini tag. Where are we? The Zondnauts get on their AI motorcycles and chase after trouble at full throttle, and only get off it if they see they're outnumbered or outgunned when they catch their prey. In those situations, to their opponent's dismay, the AI motorcycle turns into an auxiliary tactical combat unit. So basically a transforming motorcycle. It's not an original idea. It's been an anime one that's around for ages. One of the variants of Robotech actually had a transforming motorcycle in it, and they've copied this, but it's to create something really fucking cool. That's the thing I love about Corvus Belli. They have so many of the coolest ideas. We've also got the Arjuna unit, which, as we can see, is a fairly nifty, meaty looking unit. Enhanced movement capacity and mimetic skills, and the instant connection with their Kirin bots to get close as possible to their opponents and cancel out their advantages. That's pretty awesome. And then, oh, those look cool. But then we have the Krigil agents for the I was about to say Aleph, but I totally don't mean Aleph. Those guys are artichoke people. Sorry guys, the heat must be frazzling my brain. I cannot remember the group of people that everyone dislikes because they're so cool. But anyway, another awesome model there. And finally, we've got the Lexmi Shaman, which is, despite having kilts, they're sort of African shamans, which is a pretty cool thing. But they're for Aristea, so that's pretty cool. It's nice to see that Africa's still getting some representation in the future. It is an unfortunate thing that with many of the sci-fi things we get, you don't get a lot of representation, simply because I don't think it's down to a lot to sort of racism. I think people tend to represent themselves first and then think about other cultures afterwards, you know, which does have an unfortunate downside that where most has been made in Europe and America, other cultures that are really cool and have a lot of awesome stuff in them get missed out, which is such a shame. So it's nice to see something else there. Moving on, checking out Puppets War's new website. They've got a bunch of new heads. They're referring to as nightmare heads. You can see those probably very similar to the Venom symbiote and Spider-Man. They make a great bunch of heads for some possessed, or if you want to run some weird Gene Stealer variant, they'd be pretty cool for that. That's over on Puppets War's website. Always worth checking them out. Just waiting for the stuff. And if we go over to Cromlech, taking your ages, it's time to make way for the mushrooms. They brought out their giant mushroom kits. So if you're running orcs in Fantasy or 40k, or you're running Cthulhu-esque stuff and you want some unearthly giant fungi, that's available over on the bitsowar.com website, which is Cromlech and Tabletop Scenic's official website. So that's pretty cool. There's always a lot of cool stuff coming out from Poland. These guys make a lot of awesome stuff. Finally, one of the things I'm quite actually excited about for RPG in general, but mostly for D&D, we've got Remarkable Shops and their wares over on Kickstarter. It's worth checking these guys out. The book claims to be viable for any RPG, but having looked at some of the stuff, it looks like it's very high fantasy, so it looks like it's going to be leaning heavily into the sort of D&D style worlds. But that being said, if you look, it looks sort of D&D Faerun-ish, which is a meta world designed to be able to run anything you want on it. So it'll work for most sword and sorcery, and I'd imagine it'll work for quite a lot of other bits and pieces here. You see Remarkable Shops and their wares. You've got a lot of bits and pieces there. One of the big problems, which we always tend to see in any fantasy setting, but it's particularly prevalent in 5th edition D&D, is there's a lot of cool stuff you can buy, but the prices aren't that great, nor are they relatively easy to find. Particularly when you get to magic weapons and magic items, how much should someone sell them for if they're selling them? How much should someone buy them for if you're trying to get rid of them? How common and available should they be? And ironically, by adding a gold value to them, you get an idea of how hard it should be to get this item or how game-breaking it is, which you might not always get from the description. So anything like this that tries to add a dollar bill value to it or a euro value to it is often going to be useful. As you can see, there's also Remarkable Inns, a bunch of t-shirts and loads of other Kickstarter things you can get from that. Obviously, because the Kickstarter hasn't finished yet and we haven't seen it, you have no idea how good it's going to be. But if it's done well, then it can be an invaluable tool. There is a thing out there called the Sane List of Magical Items. I encourage any D&D DM to look it up, which is a small sort of like booklet type thing, maybe 20 to 50 pages long. I don't know, not very big at all. It's just lists of how much things cost and relative values to each other. Things like whether or not they should be game breaking and things like that. And it's broken down into alphabetical lists, and then it's broken down into the types of items so that you can easily find what you want. And it also gives you pages in the DM's guide to find those items. So having used that and having found it an invaluable tool, I can only imagine that the shops and the Remarkable Shops and their wares book is going to be an incredibly useful book. If it's even half as good, it's going to be a fantastic book. Okay, that's it for this week, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time where I'll be looking at what else has happened in the gaming world. Bye-bye. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Not sure why, but I am. So If you like it, see me there, and please tell your friends. Thanks very much. Bye.